just this time of year is
Yeah,
quite a time of year.
the Google and Microsoft thing has made it crazy over here in IT, so I know how you feel.
Absolutely. I'm straddling between Google Drive and Teams right now, trying to get, I'm down to 25 in my Google
Hmm.
Drive. I know, trying to get down even lower, but that's down from 80, so I'm feeling accomplished. But just trying to find the time to sift through 10 years of Google
Right.
Drive documents is not easy.
And for all you potential or future students, what Kim and I are talking about is going to be mentioned in here, but I'll bring it up. Backup. Um, since Virginia Tech no longer offers unlimited free storage on Google or Microsoft for students or faculty, we've added back in something we had in our computer requirement years ago, which was a backup device. And we're recommending a 500 gigabyte or higher, either a cloud backup service that you pay for yourself or an external SSD drive. We'll get to that again in a second, but that relates to what we were just sidetracking a bit on,
Yeah.
because neither we nor you have unlimited storage anymore. So now it's important to have that. All right. So again, yeah, you don't have to buy from us. You can if you want. And the spec should be pretty straightforward. Again, we've got our contact information here at the bottom of the page for folks who actually need help sorting it out. But this year we've taken our processors up to Intel 14th and 15th, or 13th and 14th, excuse me, generation. Or you can use AMD Ryzen's of these series. 32 gigs of RAM. It used to be 64, or excuse me, used to be 16. 500 gigabyte drive or higher. We do recommend higher, but you can get by with 500, especially since there's now the needing to buy a backup device as well. And there's now a required graphics cards. We had a group, the ETC, the Engineering Technology Council, meet several times over the past few weeks. And it's been, that includes both faculty, instructional faculty, and IT folks, and basically it's just like, now's the time to up the requirement. We haven't upped it much in years. And so, getting into if you start now, getting into your third, fourth year, if you get a computer that's lower specs than that, you're going to start running into slowdown when you hit your hardest classes. So, on Macintoshes, if you're not a computer science major, you should not bring a Mac. Many of the majors use software that is specifically runs on Windows only. Some of it is, and some of it is not compatible with Mac if you run Parallels or some other kind of emulation software. And it's just best if you avoid that if you can. It's going to make your life easier. Um, if you're a CS major, or if you're intending to be a CS major, then that's different, because the CS major, really benefits from Macs. And there's a whole page on that. I'll go into that very briefly here. So if you get this program called Parallels, or there are some others, but this is the one that we are the most familiar with, you can usually run Windows on that, and most applications will run on it. Again, sorry for the coughing. Um, the trouble with that is, if you start engineering, I think probably all know, if you start as your first year is general engineering, and so you have to be competitive to get into computer science. So if you end up with a Mac and then you go into, and then you change your mind, or you don't get the grades and you end up in a different major, you might find something you like that you end up being required to buy a new computer, which is not what we want for anyone to have to buy two machines. So that's brief thing on that area. So what else should I cover here? Warranties. We really recommend you get the 4-year accidental damage warranty. It does add a little to the machines, but working on computers, carrying them around campus in the weather, you probably all noted you'll be doing a lot of walking. and you may be dropping things. You'll definitely be plugging it in and out. Plugs, when you plug in the charger, that has a tendency to wear on computers. Hinges for screens tend to wear, and just accident protection. If you have anything happen and your screen breaks, that's at least $500, maybe $700 or $800 just to fix a cracked screen. So that's why we recommend that strongly. Let's see here. We talked about graphics cards, or we didn't talk about them yet, but the graphics cards help with graphics heavy visualization software, SolidWorks, AutoCAD, anything where you're designing and creating really complicated 3D models and moving them around, doing simulations, things like that. Civil, aerospace, mechanical engineering type classes, even building construction, for example, very complicated 3D models that really benefit from that. We talked about backup. Video conferencing is pretty self-explanatory in the age of what we're doing right now here with Zoom. Everybody has a headset or a mic, and so that's just required as just to make sure everyone knows that. All right, the software bundles. I'll go to that page here. There are two software bundles. The mandatory university bundle that every undergraduate student, regardless of engineering or not, has to get. That is about $67 this year. This previous year, it'll probably be within a few dollars of that for when you guys come in. Again, the price on those varies, by a few dollars up or down, depending on what kind of deals our central folks can get with the various vendors. I do apologize for the cough, but I really wanted to not cancel. Yeah, so there's that bundle that basically comes with Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Office. Those avoid getting upsold when you buy a computer to get Office with it, because that is mandatory purchase for all undergrads at the university. And so you'll have to get it twice. The good part about the university one is you get those applications, you pay for them once as a freshman, and you get them until you've graduated your undergrad degree. So it's not a yearly cost, it's 67 or so one time. Then we move to the engineering bundle, which I'll just click on that. That comes with things like MATLAB, PDF Annotator, which is a less expensive alternative to Adobe's Acrobat Pro, which costs I think it's a subscription for like $20 a month. SolidWorks, you'll be using that a lot in your first year of engineering. Some other things, SAS, JMP Pro, CATME. You get access to the Microsoft Azure DevTools, Project Visio, Visual Studio. Those don't come with the initial bundle. Yeah, and that's last year was $100. We also expect it to stay within a few dollars. All right. Let me see here. The software that's going to be in those bundles next year is the same, so that won't change. Let's see here. Probably the last thing I really need to talk about in a general overview before I answer questions is SWAT, our Student Support Office. SWAT came from an acronym that I barely remember what it means anymore, but our Student Computer Support Office in Torgerson Hall. If you have bought a computer that meets the requirement, and hopefully if you have a warranty, you can come. Well, first of all, we're not going to check the warranty for certain things. If you need any help, engineering has a office for you to come and seek help with your computer 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and by appointment virtually as well, in person. And basically there's just technicians there that'll help you figure out what's going wrong. You have software license problems, you have something won't install, you think you might have a virus, file loss, stuff like that. So you have a first line of defense against those technical problems provided by the university, engineering specifically. Then if you end up having to get rid of your computer temporarily to send off for repairs, they have a loaner program. For the loaner program, they will probably ask for some form of like proof email or something, or a receipt that it's been dropped off to get repaired, or that you're in process with that with the vendor or the store. And then they'll provide you, I think it's for up to 3 weeks without a renewal. You know, they'll like lend you a laptop so you can continue to do your classwork. Let's see here. They'll do, you know, installing stuff, etc. Diagnose hardware issues. I said loaners already. And those are the general gist of it. I'll also mention here optional accessories. These are all optional. Some people might want a pen on your computer, the one where you write on the screen. It's difficult to find a computer that's reasonably priced and has a pen and a graphics card, because those discrete graphics cards and the pins often like don't come in the same machine. There's a few that do. A lot of this stuff you might not use these days. DVD drive could be useful, but most things don't come on discs anymore. A lot of people do like having a second screen. You know, if you're going to be working on a laptop in class, you might want another second screen in your dorm room. You could possibly, all of this stuff is things you can add later. Again, headphones are listed. Scanners, calculators. I've been hearing from the faculty and staff that very few students need printers anymore. Most assignments are turned in online and digitally in other ways. Finally, one other page that's really useful is our software, additional software page. We've been updating this, and it lists tons of software, whether it's free or not. Not everything has that column filled out, but it tells which major you'll be using that software in. And that stuff can help if you want to go, okay, what kind of specs does my computer need? If you really want to dig into it, or if you're not sure what you want and you're on the fence whether you want to spend more money or less, you can dig through this and find the specific software. Like you go to Autodesk, for example, here, and then you could say, well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be a major in CE. Well, then you could go to Autodesk's website, find out what kind of hardware Revit recommends specifically, and then you kind of get an idea. You should do fine with what we recommend. However, you can always check this list, as well as if you're just interested in what software you're going to be using in various majors. So that's pretty much the end of the intro. And we have a frequently asked questions page, which, yeah, I covered a lot of those. You guys will probably ask some of those now, and I'm fine with that. And we can go from there if that works for everyone else.
All right,
I do
so
apologize. I'm working off my script, but at the same time, I'm also having trouble talking. So thank you all for your indulgence.
so there is a question. I can man the chat. So Andrew asks, so if I buy the engineering bundle, do I need to buy the other bundle?
Yeah, that first bundle is the university undergrad bundle, and every student who comes to Virginia Tech as a freshman buys that. And then if you're going to be an engineer, you also buy the engineering bundle.
And I just want to reiterate, Jeff mentioned earlier, you know, if you're thinking about being CS, yeah, most of the CS people I know do have a Mac, but please, you should all realize by now, like he said, everyone comes into general engineering, despite whatever box you check and whatever the wording on the things that admissions sends you. You are not a computer science major. You are not a civil engineering major. You are a general engineering major. Typically, at the end of your first year, there's certain coursework that you have to fulfill. You can then apply to be a specific major. Some of the majors, because of space requirements and popularity, If you have a 3.0, you're going to be guaranteed any major that you want. But if you have less than a 3.0, you may or may not be able to get into that major. Computer science, aerospace tend to be the two majors where if you don't have a 3.0, you are probably not going to get into that major. So just, yeah, be aware of that. There's no guarantee, even if you checked the box that said computer scientist, that you are actually going to be able to be a computer science major.
Yeah, that's true. We have nothing against Macs. We're just trying to look out for folks who end up not in computer science, even though they had wanted to be. And their software won't run for the next 3 years, potentially.
All right, so the next question, when do we purchase and have access to install the bundles? And is it done in class or ahead of starting classes?
All right. Luckily, I wrote these on the site because I know you guys haven't looked at it. I'm not being one of those, have you checked the website thing? This is new. We put this up yesterday. So you will be automatically billed for the undergraduate bundle around the end of June. That's the university-wide one. You should basically be able to get to that shortly after that and start downloading the software. The way you do that is you go to network.software.vt.edu, log in with the PID you'll have been assigned by then and your password, and then I'll go ahead and do it. I'm sneaky. My password in LastFast still has 4 other characters I have to type on the end before it'll work. So here's the list of all the software that I have access to right now. Yours will of course be different. And from there you just click on something, go in here, accept whatever agreements, and download it. And it'll just download right to your computer. You can install it. No CDs, no going anywhere else, nothing. All right. So that was the undergraduate bundle. For the engineering bundle, you get billed for that basically around the last week before classes. That one comes through real late because they're working on the contracts for it and getting everything done right up to the last minute. You'll probably be able to download those during your first week of classes. And one other addition to that topic that you didn't specifically ask is that we don't recommend downloading and installing everything that you have access to in the engineering bundle immediately. You know, the Microsoft stuff, that's fine. Everybody's probably going to use Word and Excel and junk like that. But, you know, if you fill your 500 gigs of hard drive with everything in the engineering bundle, you'll just be slowing down your machine and you might not use some of that software for a year, 2 years. So pretty much I would, unless you want to play with it to experiment, I would wait till classes and see what they want you to install and do it as needed. Of course, it's yours to do it as you want.
All right. The next question is, what are the benefits of buying through the bookstore?
Benefits of buying through the bookstore are they have local hardware repair there. What else? They used to have machines that met our spec that we knew. That's been not as prominent lately. I recommend, let me see here. I'll go to that page. So yeah, they have the repair service locally. They can sometimes repair your machines and do a turnaround without them having to be shipped off anywhere. That's for certain brands. That can be extremely helpful if you want your machine back quickly. So warranty service there. That's the main benefit at the moment. They used to have the benefit where their machines were guaranteed to meet our spec, but the last few years that hasn't always been the case due to the bookstore being a separate company from the university.
Yeah, I mean, again, my experience with students, it is a significant benefit to not lose your laptop for a longer period of time. You know, if something, and things do go wrong, things, things are going to go wrong. And for, to be working off a loaner for a shorter period of time, that's a big deal when you're in the College of Engineering. It is, you don't want to put yourself in any kind of hole in engineering because it is really hard to get back out again. So the quick turnaround is pretty valuable.
Yeah. And we are hoping to get the machines that they have actually, registered as meeting our requirement. Definitely you'll want to talk, if you want to order from them, you want to go there in person, or you'll want to call them on the phone. Don't trust the website because they don't get updated very frequently.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Next question, and I'm trying to read these questions out loud so that you can spare your voice a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is there a VT cloud where applications are made available versus having to download applications to your laptop?
That's a short answer. Not that I know of.
Let's see. A couple of students leading a presentation that was, I think, part of this series a while back mentioned that they thought having a separate tablet was helpful for attending classes since it's so much lighter. Do you have any advice related to that?
I think how people want to take notes is up to them. Back in the day, I'm sure you remember this, Kim. It's only been 5 or 6 years since we stopped having it. A while back, the computer requirement was a tablet with a pen.
Yeah.
And that the software that was supposed to get developed and be, world changing basically for that never really panned out. And so the tablet requirement was dropped. But, we learned a lot about people's habits, and a lot of people got into, really useful note taking on their tablet. So I would say my recommendation there would be, first off, if you can find a machine and afford a machine that meets all these specs and has a pen, go for that. The other alternative is you could bring a tablet, something like an iPad or like an equivalent Android device that has a pen, and take notes on that. Anything like that would be fine. You're already buying a $2,000 or $3,000 computer. I wouldn't recommend that you buy the top of the line there and spend $5,000. I know my daughter has a really nice iPad. At least it was really nice 3 years ago when I bought it. I think it's, that stuff moves fast. Now it's like average and works. But yeah, I mean, if you want to take notes on a computer, there's a lot of benefits to that. But paper will work. Yeah.
Yeah, I do know, a lot of the students that I talk to and work with, they really like that. The professors will upload notes. And so what they can do is they can, have the professor's notes open and just annotate them with the pen. So they really do like that. I will also say not next week, but the 3 sessions after that are all going to be basically Virginia Tech students. There'll be 2 weeks where you can just talk with someone in the major. And, probably better than Jeff and I, who don't walk around campus all day, that would be a great question to ask them during those Zoom sessions. Or if you're a young woman and you're going to be at Women's Preview Weekend, or you're going to be at Gateway, those are, I think the student would probably have the better response about, should I lug the laptop around? Should I have a tablet? And it is more money. So, and not everyone has the same financial means to have the ability to get both. So yeah, in a perfect world, that's probably great, but there are reasons that you wouldn't be able to do that.
What else we got going?
We have in the dorm, are external monitors, docks, and personal VPNs common or recommended?
VPNs are probably not recommended. What were the other things? Let me open the chat so I can actually see them too.
External monitors and docks.
External monitors, I honestly don't know. I don't actually spend a lot of time with the students, unfortunately. I spend more time with the staff and faculty and other IT folks trying to figure out. And I get most of my information secondhand about what students do from academic faculty. So external monitors, well, here's the beauty of that stuff. You can buy a laptop first, and then if you decide you need that stuff, you can buy that. You know, like an external monitor, I think you can get one for like 150, 200 bucks. And that gives you a bigger screen than your laptop has. You can also, on most laptops, they have the power to run both screens simultaneously. So you can get a lot more real estate to do work in there. So I would certainly, I mean, I'm looking at 3 monitors right now at my house. So I'm sort of biased. But yeah, doing the kind of work that engineers do, I would say that at some point in your career, you'll end up being like, yeah, I really need more space. But it might not be first semester. Docks are great. I mean, you know, just to come in and plug your computer into one plug instead of going and plugging a mouse in and a hard drive and a headset and Ethernet and, you know, 2 monitors and blah, blah, blah. Certainly, I would recommend a dock basically any, it's personal preference. I don't want to, what's it called? Influence anyone too far towards my kind of computer sprawl. But if that's the style that you like, then absolutely go for it. I think you can get away with coming in with just the laptop and figuring out what your needs are, though.
Yeah, I'm sitting here with a very one screen, but you know, a super wide screen. And I do think back, for a long time, I'm just like, no, I'm fine with my one little screen. And now that I have my wide screen, I don't know how I survived beforehand. So I find it really, really useful. But I think, you know, Jeff's other points, it's personal. Maybe you don't want to invest in it initially. Again, probably a really good question to come back, be on that session when the students are there, even though it's about, you know, we're going to put you in breakout rooms with specific majors. These are absolutely the kind of questions that you should be asking students. You know, do I need, you know, do you have a tablet? Do you have a monitor in your room? Do you
Yeah.
have a printer? Because I also agree, most of the students, there's very, very little printing. You know, I think you can go to the library and get something printed. I will say here in the seed office, we have a printer. And, you know, it's not unusual that if there's something that really has to be printed, a student will just say, can I email this to you and you print it? And we're happy to do that for you. So, but these are, you know, some of these are just really good questions to ask the students as well,
Yeah,
because they live it in a way that Jeff and I don't.
right. And you know, these are good questions too. You guys have reminded me, we are the ETC, the Engineering Technology Council, which is faculty and technical folks. We're going to start meeting with the SEC, which is the Student Engineering Council as well, and get their input on all these decisions. So I don't know, maybe by next year when we do this, we'll have, who knows, maybe we'll bring in a student as well or something. Because some of these questions folks ask, I'm ill-equipped to answer, but they're good questions. Let's see if I got the
Any
chat
final
here.
questions? The good thing about this starting at 6 and not 6:30, Jeff, is we'll get you off earlier. So you can go
It's all
rest or
good.
whatever you need to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep, I'll be honest.
Okay. So any last questions for Jeff? All right, well, think about that. I'm just going to talk very briefly. So next week, another really important one for incoming freshmen. We are going to have Christina Martin, who is actually one of our SEED program assistant directors. She is kind of our go-to person. You're struggling, you have any issues. She's the mom in the SEED office. So you go to her. She is going to talk about that math requirement. So I know that Dr. Lester, another Dr. Lester, talked about the intro to advising, and she touched on those math requirements, and we did have a number of questions about that. Christina's really going to give you the nitty-gritty about the ALEKS test and Calc 1225 and take it, you know, should I do dual enrollment? Should I take my AP credit? All of those very specific questions. It is math and a little bit chemistry, calculus and chemistry are really the two things that are going to be the barriers to you moving into your the major that you want to take. And a lot of that calc is prereq for a lot of other things. So, you know, it's going to affect what you can take moving forward. So it is a really important session to understand very clearly what you can and can't and should and shouldn't do. So she'll be on next week. And then the last 3 weeks, 2 of those weeks are going to be split into majors. There's a certain group of majors the first week, and then we'll catch the rest of them the second week. And again, it's just going to be students in those majors. We're just going to put you in breakout rooms and give you the opportunity to talk to them specifically about those majors. And then the last week, we're going to, again, have students on to give you the student perspective on dining and housing. And they've got some pretty good feedback on the dining plans and housing, living on campus, living off campus, all of those things. And they're going to really give you, they're not going to give you the university viewpoint, they're going to give you the student lived viewpoint. And hopefully that will be helpful to you as well. So I have not seen any more questions come up. Thank you all for attending tonight. And I'm going to let Jeff and everybody else go home and rest at this point in time.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you,
Yeah.
Kim.
Thank you. I did enjoy this. I'm sorry about the voice, but it's worth getting the information out to you all. So
Yeah.
thanks for listening. All right. Are we ending up, or do you guys have another topic?
Nope, that's it. I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll just wait and make sure that nobody has a
All right.
question.
Sorry I sound so terrible, but I feel better than I sound.